Good evening. Welcome to Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Shom. On the programme tonight, 11th hour diplomacy by France staves off a possible Russian invasion of Ukraine for the moment. There is now a possibility of the US President meeting Russia's Vladimir Putin, but that is only if there is no invasion till then. For India, it's wait and watch. There are 20,000 Indian students who study in the Ukraine. Many of these students are unable to return home because their universities will not allow them to get an online education. On the show tonight, is a Russian invasion of Ukraine still inevitable? Next on the show, there's tension in parts of Karnataka. Vehicles were set on fire and isolated. Incidents of stone pelting reported in the Shivamoga town over the murder of a member of the right-wing outfit, the Bajrang Dal, a 26-year-old man called Harsha. The BJP alleges that there is a conspiracy behind this. That's what we're going to be looking at, as a murder case has been placed in this particular attack. But first, Ukraine. It is a no war, no peace situation. It is extremely volatile. For each step forward towards peace, there seems to be more than one step back. Is a Russian invasion inevitable? Well, joining us now, Roman Babushkin. He is the charge d'affaires of the Russian embassy in India. We're also joined by Anastasia Zaziliak. She's the Deputy Editor-in-Chief of Channel 24 in Kiev. I'd like to thank you both very much for being with us. Mr. Babushkin, let me come to you first. You know, for every step forward towards peace, it seems to be one step back. At the moment, the situation in the Donbas region is a big concern. Is it Russia's belief at this juncture that a declaration of independence for the Donbas region might be a way to ensure that there is no wider conflict in Ukraine?
Well, it's difficult to say, but we can see that the situation is really deteriorating. Unfortunately, there is a continuous ceasefire violations from the Ukrainian side. So during the days yesterday and the day before yesterday, they violated the ceasefire regime more than 100 times. Mm-hmm. There is also a mass gathering of troops on that side, and they know that the US and other Western partners are pumping Ukraine with thousands of tons of weapons, including lethal weapons, including heavy weapons, and certainly it is playing a dangerous, provoking role for the Kiev authorities to launch its offensive against these two regions.
Right.
Certainly, this situation is being used, this confrontation in order to justify these military actions and not to implement the Minsk agreements.
Okay. Anastasia, what is Ukraine's position on this situation right now? Because Russia says it's Ukraine which is actually instigating the violence in Donbas. Where does Kiev stand on this assertion?
Well, unfortunately, Russia is spreading misinformation that Ukrainian army is ready to attack, but actually it is not true. Instead, the occupied restaurants to prevention the fire on residential buildings in cities. In recent days, more than 100 homes had been damaged, and 4 civilians were injured, and even 2 Ukrainian soldiers were killed. Recently, the occupying authorities announced the evacuation of the population from the Donbas to Russia. But however, the authorities barred men from leaving cities because of it can be a war. So the media report that no one in Russia is waiting for the Donbas people, and they were kept in the buses for a long time, and then they would just begin to return back to the occupied territories. More than that, the office of the president of Ukraine even warned that the buses could even be explode. Right. And then after that, the Russia could accuse the Ukrainian army of this. And so this all once and again demonstrated that Russia is ready to any provocations. More than that, Russia has said that it is withdrawing troops from Ukraine. However, foreign intelligence report that it's not true, and Russia is increasingly their presence near the borders.
Well, as you can see, two completely different versions of what is happening in the Donbas region. I'm also joined at this stage by Ian Kelly. He's been a career diplomat who served as the US ambassador to Georgia. At this juncture, Mr. Kelly, do you believe it's realistic that we will see a Biden-Putin meeting, given the tensions we are seeing on the ground in the Donbas region? It is nowhere close to a ceasefire, which perhaps we'd all hoped for by this time as we speak.
Well, I think the United States is, and the Biden administration is completely committed to keeping open the diplomatic track, to keeping open dialogue with the Kremlin right now. The problem is that while we talk about diplomacy, and the Ukrainian government wants to open up a line of dialogue with Moscow, the Russian Federation is massing an invasion force and is ratcheting up the tension. And this is something going on minute by minute, as you've mentioned. The call of the separatists to for military help, the meeting of the Security Council, which is apparently going on right now, trying to decide whether to recognize the independence of eastern Ukraine. It's difficult to have a diplomatic dialogue and a reasonable discussion towards a solution when you have a gun to your head.
Right.
And as long as that massive invasion force is arrayed along the border of Ukraine, and we're getting daily reports of supposed genocide, of calls to recognize the independence of a region that's the sovereign territory of Ukraine. It is. I mean, we should always keep talking, but
it's not looking good, is what you're saying.
It's looking more and more like there's no point to it.
Right. Mr. Babushkin, that is the big worry, that is Russia at this juncture still serious about holding talks? That's what people would like to know.
Russia is always serious. So, and talks should be really, forward-looking and listening to each other, because what we hear right now is just mass propaganda about the Russian invasion, which never happened in all the dates which were announced before by the Western media, even by the Western officials. So we would then probably suggest to provide us with the calendar of the Russian invasion so that we could plan some vacation.
Right. In fact, I would dare suggest, Mr. Babushkin, that is one point that you and Anastasia might actually agree on, that the date of a Russian invasion has happened about a dozen times and nothing has happened so far. Anastasia, do you believe that this ratcheting up of a possible Russian invasion of your country, is an exaggeration?
Well, our army for the last 5 years, they really very strong, and it is one of the most strongest armies in the world. So that's why we are ready to Russia said that they are withdrawing troops from Ukraine, but foreign intelligence reported it's not true. And Russia is increasing their presence near Ukrainian border, which means that they can actually attack us in every moment. And we should note that the Ukrainian army has become one of the most strongest. So therefore, we are ready to defend ourselves independently or just with our and other partners.
Okay.
And Ukraine now remains like a shield for a whole Europe, as Vladimir Zelensky earlier said.
Right,
because everything what is going on in Ukraine is very important, and it's very important not even for Ukraine, but for all of the Europe and all another world.
Absolutely. In fact, we've got two Indian students with us. Mohammad Shaukat Alam is a student at the National Medical University at Ivano-Frankivsk, and two students from there, Twinkle Bhadoria as well. Shaukat, let me ask you, the government of India has actually said, ideally, you should all come back unless you have something essential to do. Is that difficult at this juncture? Is your university allowing you to do an online education?
So right now we've
lost that line with Emily. Put that question across to Twinkle. Twinkle, would you take that
question? We cannot
go.
And as we know, sir, here we have to attend every class. We cannot skip even a single class. So it's really difficult for us to go. And I went to the deanery and asked the dean that our government has released an advisory notice. According to that, we should leave Ukraine temporarily. But the dean told me that it's not. It has no mean of these letters for me. If Ukrainian ministry give me an official order, then I will do something for you. Sir, we have another lots of problems, sir. We cannot go.
Right, I take that point.
First of all,
I just want to ask Twinkle that question as well. Is it difficult for you to leave as well? Because if you do come back to India and flights have been arranged, there's no telling what will happen to your degree, right? So you're caught in between a rock and a hard place.
Yes, sir. As university is not allowing us for the online session, so we cannot come back to India, because if we come back right now, we have no certainty that when we come back, we will have our current degree will proceed or not, because we need 100% attendance here. So we want our university to make it online, and if they are not agree for that, we want like Indian embassy to give some orders to them, or like give the advisory notice to university, not to students, because we are willing to come. We want to come. We are not safe, but university is not willing to send us. Like they are not giving us permission to have online class, and until and unless it's not online, we cannot come.
Right, absolutely, big concerns over there.
Yes.
Mr. Babushkin, let me just ask you, at this juncture, what is the road forward over the next few days? Is it a meeting between Mr. Lavrov and Secretary Blinken? Would that be the first step towards actually getting an idea about whether the presidents will be meeting? Is that what you are personally, for example, looking forward to in order to get an idea of where this is headed?
Russia has always been supportive of dialogue efforts, starting when the Minsk package of measures was adopted in 2015. The very next day, the implementation should have started, but it didn't happen, unfortunately, so well. And all these years, we have no progress at all in the implementation of Minsk agreements.
Right.
So, and dialogue is always important, and we still believe that the dialogue is the only way to resolve the problem, but it should be meaningful. It should be purposeful. So, in response of the Russian proposals for the security guarantees and non-expansion of NATO, we received nothing in terms of any concrete reaction from the West, in spite of the fact that they keep telling that there is invasion, there is escalation, and so on and so forth. So you don't see any other news coming out from that side, in spite of sitting seriously at the negotiation table and to resolve the red lines, the very serious issues. Because in fact, what happened that during all these recent years, we have seen the expansion of NATO military activities in around Ukraine. It was a bit purely openly said that it was anti-Russian in nature. So, and after there was a huge multi-thousand ton supplies of military equipment from NATO, and especially US to Ukraine. That was we have no chance then to come back to the agreements which have been reached 20 years ago about an expansion.
In fact, Mr. Babushkin,
undivided security.
I'm just interrupting because I'm running short on time, and Ambassador Kelly, I'd ask you to keep your answer short. And the question is this: why is it so difficult at this juncture for NATO or the United States to actually give it in writing that there is no question of Ukraine joining NATO? Because it's quite clear that that's not going to happen. If this is something that Russia wants and could be a step towards ensuring peace on the ground, then why is it so difficult to give that in writing as a step forward?
Well, I mean, I can give you a short answer. It is not the decision, would not be the decision of NATO itself or of Washington to roll back the cooperation with the new members, or to put in writing that Ukraine and Georgia will not become members. These are sovereign decisions of sovereign states. And if Russia has a problem with cooperation with NATO, they really have to talk to the government of Kiev. Right. This is not something that NATO is going to negotiate. These are sovereign decisions, and they will remain sovereign decisions.
All right. Well, an impasse, as it were. I think that this reflects the situation on the ground in Russia and Ukraine. But do spare a thought for our Indian students over in Ukraine at this juncture, who find themselves in a country which they love very dearly, but unable to come home in the present situation because of circumstances which are out of their control. I hope there is peace on the ground. Thank you all very much for being with us. Lots of questions coming in. This remark from Niti Sharma on coup, who says the UK response is homegrown or scripted by the Russian oligarchy who heavily fund a certain political party. Palash says the US industrial war machine needs profits and Biden is sadly out of time and out of place given his age. Well, next on the program, vehicles were set on fire and isolated incidents of stone pelting have been reported as tensions spread in Karnataka's Shivamogga town over the murder of a member of the right-wing Bajrang Dal. The man who was killed, 26 years old, his name was Harsha. He was stabbed. He used to work as a tailor and he was stabbed by unidentified people last night at about 9 p.m. He was rushed to hospital. He didn't survive. The police have arrested 3 people in connection with the murder case. Joining us now, Captain Ganesh Karnik, who is the spokesperson of the BJP in Karnataka, and Aishwarya Mahadev of the Congress party. Captain Karnik, why does the BJP allege that there is a conspiracy over here? What is the conspiracy?
Well, good evening to you, Mr. Som, and my co-panelist Aishwarya. I offer my sincere condolences of the sad demise of a young man in a very dastardly tragic incident in Shivamogga town. Whatever may be the reason, in a democratic setup, this is not the way you settle score. This is an outcome of a kind of intolerance. So I condemn this and I earnestly appeal to the government, which is our own party government, to take very stringent measure.
No, but Captain Karnik, intolerance by who?
Intolerance by people, like for example, you use the word right-wing activist. I don't think you should have used that word.
Sir, the Bajrang Dal is right-wing, sir.
No, I mean, I leave it to you to decide, but this is how you try to instigate people and calling it by whatever it is.
No, but is the Bajrang Dal not right-wing?
I don't agree with
Aren't they proudly right-wing, sir?
They are a nationalist kind of an outfit, and it is not right-wing or left-wing. So they're a nationalist outfit, and one of the prominent workers of that outfit in Shivamogga has been attacked by a group of 5 people. They have been identified, 3 have been apprehended, and it will be taken to its logical end.
Sure.
Now, you asked me a question about
who has instigated this? What is the link? What is the conspiracy? I'm still not getting an answer, Captain, on that point.
Exactly, yes. So we, at this stage of the investigation, since I'm not in the government,
sure,
with little information that we have, there is an organization called PFI, and there is another organization called Campus Front of India, Young Wing, and then earlier it used to be in the form of SDPI, and there have been,
But these are the groups that you have alleged are involved in the hijab protests as well, right?
Yes.
So therefore, this is the association you're drawing. Let me get a response from Aishwarya on that. Finally, the Captain Saab has told us where he believes this is coming from. How do you respond? Are some of the groups which have been associated with the anti-hijab with the hijab protests, with the anti-hijab protests, right? They've defended the hijab in this particular case. Are they associated with this murder?
Good evening, Vishnu. I think Captain Ganesh Karnik has been quite responsible, far more responsible for people with the way they react. First, let me offer condolences, strongly condemn violence in a young lost. I think the outcome out of this, other has this.
Aishwarya, the line is being lost to you. I think the mic is. Can you just be a little closer to your mic? Go ahead and speak now.
Can you hear me now, Vishnu?
Yeah.
See, the singular fact remains that the BJP always seeks electoral dividends of criminal strife. Mr. Karnik has been responsible in saying we've identified people, we will have a probe and then a portion blame. But today, Mr. C.T. Ravi, people from the BJP themselves going to the Musliman have killed student, this youngster, and strife in Shivamogga. Absolutely irresponsible statements coming from the government. While funny, Home Minister, former Chief Minister Yediyurappa have not.
Aishwarya, sorry to interrupt. The line is a bit unclear with you, but I've got the gist of what you're saying. Let me try and get a response from Captain Karnik. Some of the responses of BJP leaders in Karnataka seem to suggest that those who attacked this man, Harsha, were were from the minority community. Is that your belief? There was a religious angle or a communal angle to this attack?
See, this boy had left his home around 9 o'clock in the night, and within 5 minutes this has happened. And the message that or information that I have, one person is a local person from Shimoga itself, rest of the people came from Bangalore. So obviously there is a scheme, there is a design, they must have planned it well. And somebody must be tracking Harsha's movement. Otherwise, a boy who comes out of his house to go out after telling his mother, within 5 minutes he is attacked and is, barbarically killed by this group. So there was a sinister design. And second part is, you asked me a specific question.
Yep.
Let me ascertain one person's name is known to me. He is one Qasim belonging to a particular community. And I am told all the other 4 people are also with the same community. 3 have been apprehended already. The driver and one more person is now missing. Police are after it. So obviously,
people being of one community doesn't necessarily sort of imply that this is a communal incident, that it was on the basis of a fight between religions.
Did I say that?
No, you
didn't. You are putting words into my mouth. I did not say. You asked this question. Do they belong to a particular community? I said presumably one person who is identified from that community, and I'm also told other 2 have been arrested from the same community. So
you just identified them, sir. I didn't.
No, I am telling you, you said this. Are they belong to the community?
No, I'm asking you this in response to what you said, where you identified them on the basis of their faith. I'm just making the point that it doesn't really matter which community they were from. A murder is a murder.
Yeah, Vishnu, please wait for the investigation. Please wait for the police to apprehend all these, criminals, and you will come to know.
Okay, fair enough. I take that response. We've got Aishwarya back. We lost your line earlier. Captain Karnik makes an important point. Wait for the investigations. Let's not assume anything. But there are other BJP leaders who have clearly stated that there is a communal angle. You believe that you cannot make that assertion just yet, correct?
Vishnu, a crime is a crime is a crime. Very singularly, the Congress party has accepted it. Only thing is, we do not want the BJP, even being in government, to irresponsibly apportion blame and obviously put in an entire community in jeopardy, especially in a sensitive time, especially in an area like Shimoga where there's 144, and retaliatory or revenge or any sort of those measures is just going to further vitiate the sort of communal strife that is there. But Vishnu, some sort of context that the BJP does build, whether it's Uttar Pradesh or any other state, they do build their plank for elections on this us versus them narrative. And this is the thing we saw even in 2018, where Shobha Karanlaje wrote a letter about how CM Siddaramaya's government was killing Hindu activists, which a lot of which was debunked, and it was absolute hogwash, to what you're seeing now. And, Mr. Karnik may be responsible, though he's obviously laid blame and judgment on whoever's been arrested, whether blame or not. But the BJP, the leaders, especially ministers as senior as RDPR Minister Ishwarappa, C.T. Ravi, who's the National General Secretary, MP of Mysore, Pratap Simha, have openly called for violence, have openly said we will take action against these gundas of a particular community, and have obviously gone, to the extent of further vitiating this communal strife. Right. And this is the massive problem that we see in Karnataka, Vishnu, and the BJP is the only political party to blame here.
All right. Look, I think it's important at this juncture for us to all ensure that, what we say, we say carefully, and that there is peace on the ground.
Vishnu,
Captain Karnik, last word to you, sir, but do please, let's appeal for peace, all of us, on the ground.
Now, see, Aishwarya, with all due respect to her, she spoke only politics. And she talks of so much about Shobha Karanlaje and other people. What happened during Siddaramaya in Karnataka? 24 Hindu Karyakartas were killed. What was she talking? Did she any time come on this television and spoke about it? Did she condemn those killings? Today she is talking of, other leaders. So what has happened, I told you, it's a dastardly act, I condemn it. I did not use any political word.
Okay, all right. I think that's look, I'm out of time. Aishwarya, I'm sorry I can't let you come back on this. But I do think that what Captain Karnik says, and let's just stick to that for the moment, is that let's just hope there is peace on the ground. Let us hope the investigation is free and it is fair, and that there is justice, and that there is no other violence, communal or otherwise. That's the last thing we want in a tense situation. Thank you both very much for being with us.
Thank you.